Welcome. I'm Dawn Duvall with Shall We Stamp, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be creating a card with the Don't Stop Believin stamp set from Stampin' Up, and we're going to be working with this cute little elf here and using the sentiment, don't get your tinsel in a tangle. Alright, so we're going to do this on a piece of Whisper White, thick Whisper White cardstock. And this is scored at, it's 4 1/4 by 11, and we're going to score it at 5 1/2. Let me find my bone folder, and let's go ahead and get this creased. This gives your card a nice crease. And then we're going to use a piece of Whisper White on top of that, and this is cut at 4 by 5 1/4, and we'll add that in just a few minutes. The first thing we're going to do is we are going to stamp our elf, and I've got a piece of Whisper White, and this is cut at 2 3/4 by 3 1/2. So this is 2 3/4 by 3 1/2, and this will be attached on a 3 3/4 by 3-inch piece of real red cardstock. All right, so let's go ahead. We're going to pull in our Memento Black ink, and we're going to ink up our elf, and we're going to use some Stampin' blends to get him colored. We're going to use our Real Red and our shaded spruce ink, which will Stampin' blends, which will go with the designer series paper that we're using, as well as our ivory, which we'll use for his skin. So I'm going to stamp this right on here, and we'll go ahead and get started getting him colored. Now the paper we're using is 'Tis the Season from Stampin' Up, and these come in 6 by 6 pieces of paper, and we're going to go ahead and cut those down into strips when we get done with this. So let's go ahead and start coloring our elf. I'm going to color everything, his outfit, in green, and then I will do his I'll do his lights in the red, and of course his face will be in the skin color. Now our Stampin' blends do come in two. It comes in a combo. You have a dark color and then you have a light color, and this is shaded spruce. Now the way that you can tell, we have a big tip, it's what I call the fat tip, and then we have a tip on this end, which is like a pencil. So depending on the image that you're using, then you're going to determine which will work best for you. Now when I work in small areas, I use the small tip. I'm going to take the dark color, and I'm just going to do a little bit of shading so that I can come back with my light and pull that color in. So I'm just going to put a little shade right there on his hat, and probably a little bit down here on his shoe. I'm just going to put a little mark right about there. So it's not going to be much because he's kind of covered up. So then we're going to come back with our light color, and I'm going to start blending. Now there's no right or wrong way. I just take my time because you don't want to try to stay within the line. So let's go ahead and color this, and I'm going to pull this in here so we can get that blended, and then we're going to do his elf hat color, and this takes just a little bit of time because you don't want to rush yourself. We do have a color remover, which if you go out of the lines, it allows you to remove the ink, but you try not to do that if we don't have to. The alcohol markers you need to use with our Memento Black ink, because that keeps your ink from spreading. Which is going to make it make your picture look a lot nicer. So we don't want it to smear or kind of ooze out of the lines. So you just, again, want to take your time. Okay, I think that's good for now. And let's go ahead and bring in our red. We're going to color our lights, and I'm going to use the dark red, and this is real red, so I'm just going to go ahead and color the lights. Okay, now I'm just going to take the light smoky slate, and I am going to just color the plug of that and the cord, and I'm just going to try to drag it just very so gently, just to put a little bit of color on the wire itself. And let's come in with our dark, and we're going to color the bulbs, the bottom parts of the bulbs, so they look silver. Come back, and we're going to use our skin color, and we're going to go ahead and color his skin. Now I'm going to use the bigger tip on the ears, but I'm going to be very careful not to go outside of the lines. This is a little bit bigger than I'd prefer. And then we'll go ahead and color his legs. So I think we might have everything colored on him. Let's just check. Oh, we forgot his neck. See, we missed part of his neck, so we'll have to go back. So we missed this part here. And anything else that we might have missed? I see an elbow. So let me come in with the green. Right here is his elbow. Let's take a look at that and see. So there's our coloring. Let's go ahead and we're going to stamp the sentiment. And I'm going to do that in the shaded spruce. And I'm going to stamp that right down here below his picture. Again, I'm using the shaded spruce. And we'll stamp the sentiment directly on the piece right here. So let me put that right about there. All right, now we're going to go ahead and attach him to our back of the real red. Put some Tombow glue on here. And we'll place him right on here. And then we're going to bring in this Whisper White piece, the 4x5 1/4. And I've got 3 sheets of Designer Series, 3 strips that I cut. These are 1 inches by the 6, but I'm going to cut them down. And since I have 2 greens that I like, I'm going to lay them at an angle on the card, and they're going to hang over, and then I'll come back with my snips and trim them. And if you don't want them this thick, you can make them 3/4 of an inch, or you can do 1/2 inch. It's up to you. So I'm just going to lay them on here for now just to get an idea of, I want to make sure they come off the edges. So I think I'm going to do it like that, and then we'll place him on top. So I'm going to go ahead and add my adhesive, lay these down, come back and trim off the excess. This way, this allows you, by laying them on here and having excess hanging over, then it allows you to make sure you've got enough, you cover all your spaces. So I'm going to lay that right about there, and then I'll use that as my point for getting everything else lined up. All right, so we're going to go ahead and put the red in the middle. We have green, both greens on each end, so we'll put red in the center. We're just going to butt these up next to each other. I should have my silicone craft mat underneath so I don't get, which I already have done, get my adhesive on here. The silicone craft sheet, see, I'm getting it on here. We're going to cut that off anyways. The silicone craft sheet's a must-have because that keeps you from doing what I just did. And then the other nice thing is that it washes off easily. Any type of glue, your seal or the liquid glue, or your glue, like if you're using a heat gun, what's it called? A glue gun. Okay, so you can see how it absorbed the glue. So I'm going to take this and I'll cut from here to the end, and I'll do the same thing on this side. I'm going to cut up. We'll go ahead and trim these off, and I just stay right next to the edge of the card. All right, and then just trim these up as well. Glue on them, so I want to make sure I don't get them. All right, now we're going to put dimensionals on the back of our elf. Hard base. Add our adhesive. Lay this right about here. Now you could pop this up on dimensionals, but since I'm going to pop up the elf, I figured I will leave this. I'm going to take my eraser. We used to sell these. We no longer do. I'm not sure why, because they're one of the staples that you really need to have in your craft room, but you can probably find it through Amazon. But I just want to get this one little bit of adhesive off of here and get that taken care of. Okay, so we are taking this now. We'll go ahead and put our dimensionals on the back of this. Put one on each corner, and I always put one in the center so it doesn't sag. Have enough dimensionals. These are $300 for $4, and you can purchase any of these products in my online store. So make sure you have your card opening in the right direction. I'm going to place him right about there. Him down. There's our elf card, and then the inside you can decorate it if you like, or you can just leave it blank for your sentiment. All right, and there is our elf from the Don't Stop Believin' stamp set with Stampin' Up. All right, thank you, and I hope to see you in another video.